Hello YouTube, my name is Creonic Flame, and welcome back to the Joy of Building series. In today's episode, we will be building a nice modern house, and the blocks that we'll be using will be as follows. If you are following along with us, you will need white concrete, light gray concrete, spruce planks, and glass panes. These will be the main 5 blocks that we're using for this house, but we may be using some others, but if we do, I will tell you about that. But let's just get straight into building. So the first thing that I'm going to do in this building is, the thing about modern houses is that they like to use lots of overhang. So I'm going to create a nice big overhang right here, like this. It just goes up and it has to be odd. So what I like to do is I like to get a 7-block gap here, usually 7 blocks, or if you want you can extend it to 9, which will create an even bigger house. No difference if you make the smaller one, but it just has to be odd. I tend to take 7 to 9 blocks. And then what I'll do is I will destroy the floor of this grass area right here and replace it with these glass panes. And the reason for that is, the thing about modern houses is they use 2 things: lots of concrete and lots of glass. So if you have lots of both of those things, then you should be good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do to switch up the blocks here is I'm going to use the light gray concrete and just go 2 blocks away from the thing. I'm just going to go up, actually 3 blocks away from the thing. I'm just going to go up 2 or up 3 and go across all the way to the end here, kind of like that. And I'm also going to fill this with glass. And what this does is it initially creates a second floor that looks like it's sort of off-centered from this first one, not adding overhang and keeping it on this first block here to create the same basic wall like this here. The next thing you need to do is to create this sort of arch that I have going on here that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks tall, and I'm pretty sure, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's 7 across and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 down. So basically, this would be a square if you connected it, but you actually get rid of this bottom part and replace the floor with just this gray concrete here. And then we take glass panes and fill in all of it except for these 2 center squares here. So I'm just gonna place spruce there for now, so it's easy to place the glass, but I'll remove the spruce later. So we can just take the glass, just fill in this entire space. And the reason for just leaving this spot open is because if we put a door here, then it wouldn't look very nice, since glass panes don't connect to doors and whatnot, so it would just look out of place. So the reason for putting like just an empty sort of entrance here is so the glass stays like this sort of open door frame, which looks cooler than an actual door. And sadly, there's no glass doors to actually connect to the build. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, the white concrete here, and extend it along the line. And the reason for this is so we can place spruce planks. And the reason for the spruce is to create a sort of framing to this house, but it also uses like a sort of different type of block, so it creates framing and it changes up the block type, which makes it look better, more real, and also just better for the eyes, because if this whole build was just pure concrete, then it wouldn't look the best in the world. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this for this level and this level. But the special thing about this level is you want to go one higher than the actual gray wall here and extend it all the way to this length. And the reason for that is so we can create sort of like you see how this thing like sort of, I guess it hugs this concrete here in a way that looks like nice framing for the build, and it also reaches this height, so it connects this portion of the house with this one a lot better than it would be with just like that. So basically it serves as a framing and connector, and also looks pretty cool. There's a lot of purposes for this, and it's just a thing that a lot of these sort of modern houses have. And what I'm gonna do is, instead of having 5 of these structures like I have down here, I'm gonna leave it at 4 to create a sort of balcony space right here, and I'm gonna fill in the empty spots with this the light gray concrete. So basically like that, keeping this at the same level of the gray. Once you've done this, if you're following along, now I'm going to fill in this area with white concrete to create a base floor for the second floor. And the reason for this is it separates it's like the actual floor to the second part of the house. Now you don't need this part in sections anymore, so you can literally just fill it in with gray concrete, but we will be adding an entrance here in the future, so don't just leave it like that. The next thing I did after I completed this floor here is I created the frame for this second portion of our modern house. And the reason for this is to then be able to fill in the walls here, which will create a better which will create the third room we've got going on here. Like that. And you want to fill this in on both sides. I know this may seem like you're separating it from the other sections, but we will, as I think I said earlier, we will be creating entrances to these other floors here in the future. But for now, we can just use this. And the reason I separated this to be light gray concrete is because now that we've done this, if we build this all the way up to one less than the top of this area here, kind of like this, we can create these lines to create a sort of modern style pattern that you'll see, like a very abstract sort of design to the house, which will add a lot more to it. And now what I'm going to do, since I have this, I'm actually going to create this overhang here, once again like I have on the other side, and fill this bottom part with the white concrete. And glass panes, of course. Went like this all the way around. There we go. Can get rid of this stuff because we are going to be putting some stuff back here for a yard, because all modern houses have these huge yards, usually one with a pool in them. But we're just gonna do the yard. The yard. And then, of course, we have to fill in this section of the roof. But what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a balcony space out here eventually. So, with these glass panes. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a 2-block gap in this window here for just like an entrance or an opening. And then what we can do is we can create this entrance to the both sort of floors here. What I'm now gonna do, since this floor is only 2 blocks tall, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually build down into the ground here and actually create sort of dip in the terrain here. You'll see what I mean. So basically I'm just gonna clear out this entire floor area, and I'm actually gonna go down 2 blocks and then place flooring down there like that. And the reason for this is because I don't want to be hitting my head all the time when I walk in here. Like for instance, if this was the entire room, it'd feel pretty unnatural to just be like bouncing your head off the floors or walls, heads, no, ceiling. But yeah, and to make this look nicer, just use the same wall block and fill it all the way down into the thing. So basically there would be using this stuff. For the floor of this room, that's right, I'm doing an interior for this build, I will be using stripped spruce logs, stripped oak logs, and where are they? Stripped dark oak logs. The reason for this is what you can do with this specific color combo is first I'm gonna create a lining with this here, and I think since I'm gonna create some sort of separates in the room here, kind of like this, so I'm gonna put this here, and I'm gonna line the rest of this sort of section with these spruce planks here, just going like this. I think this needs to go out one more, because I want to do something different in this section right here. But for now, what we can do is just section it off like that, and then we can just create a frame using this spruce. And what we're doing with the stripped logs is, I found this out from just like experimenting in a creative world, but you can use these guys and create a cool looking sort of wooden floor pattern that you don't usually see in a Minecraft world. Just by like hardwood floors, I guess you would say. And that's a lot of things, or that's a thing that a lot of houses, or modern houses have, I think. I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't live in a modern style house. But yeah, it creates this cool looking modern floors kind of thing. This spot, I kind of ran out of room, but it still kind of takes effect if you look at it, right? And I just think that it's just a cool way of creating a floor. So yeah, we have a nice floor in here, and since this elevation is different, instead of dropping this whole area, I'm going to create the floors here just out of this. Actually, I'm going to switch it up out of gray concrete instead of an actual difference of type of material. So this is just going to be a very concrete room. And I'm just going to fill this area in here with the gray concrete, and to get rid of this difference of level, I'm going to use spruce slabs and just create this sort of step down from this area, kind of like that. so we can just walk up here real nicely. Kind of like that. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then what we can do here, as I was talking about, I was going to like partition this. We can create a spot for a bed in this area right here. Like this. And then we just place like a bed on top of right here. And the reason I'm creating these holes in the floor is we can use them as some sort of storage, like for ender chests or maybe a crafting table later. Kind of like that. It looks like eventually we're going to fill in this spot, but for right now, this is the main frame that you can kind of see. I'm going to fill this in with an extra column here. So we have the separation and the difference in elevation, and it makes a nice looking room here. Now, for the upstairs room. What I'm going to do for here is I think I'm just going to create a nice carpet in this area, and then I'm going to fill in this spot. I'm going to get spruce trapdoors and just put them like that, sort of. And the reason for this is we're going to create a sort of dressing thing, like a dresser sort of right here, when we're going to put like displaying like bits of armor or outfits in this room. And then we're just going to place a carpet here, and then we're going to have here with just a small balcony. And I think what I'm gonna do is, so this kind of looks kind of awkward, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna decrease the elevation of our yard here. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna create a sense of security and also make it so looking into our sort of little house right here, that it doesn't look so weird, because like looking up from this and just seeing that it decreases in elevation is kind of weird. So I'm just going to create this cool little drop in elevation here, and I'm also going to do that in the front. But this, I don't know, like maybe just a small patio, or I don't know why you would use this section, but we'll have it just because it looks cool. And I actually want this spot to be higher in elevation, so I'm going to fill that in with dirt. So we have basically this little side part that we have here, and we can just fill in the surrounding area with this white concrete again, as a border sort of to the drop down area. And then I'm just going to use, instead of regular like glass panes as like railings sort of, because I don't know if you've seen a modern house, but instead of like metal bars for railings, they'll use like actual glass, like it'll be glass fences. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to find black stained glass, and what this does is it's a dark sort of, it's a darker color than regular panes are, and the reason that this is better is because it creates different, like it creates the sense that it is like a barrier and it's not just like some open spot. And I'm also gonna do this for this part of the house as well, like that, like this, and then just two things there. And what this does is then we can extend this by 1. It's my fault, I didn't use measurements. And we have a sort of like entrance into our house that we can create with some paths, or just a path right here. I don't know what this path or the floor of this is going to be made out of yet, but I will figure that out once I'm done with this yard. So as you can see, what I'm doing for the yard is I'm surrounding the area that I have marked out with white concrete, and it's acting as the barrier, as I said before. And once again, we're using that black stained glass. You don't have to use this as your barrier. It can be whatever you want it to be. It can be like dense shrubbery, like for instance it may be like oak leaves or something, but or just leaves in general. But the reason I'm not doing that is because I kind of want to stick to the same things that we were doing here, and also the glass is see-through, and the where I would build this house is if it was sort of, if I had to build it like on this mountain sort of, and the two outdoor and the indoor stuff would be like kind of balconies, you know, like this outdoor spot, if I placed it on the edge of this thing, it would create this giant balcony coming out like this. It's just the placement that I had. I just chose the flattest part I could, and that's what I came up with, just this area. But you can use this as a sort of balcony, and that's the main reason for it. And I just realized that I'm getting sidetracked here by filling in this roof, because I forgot to do that. Anyway, back to the yard. So the first thing I did for this yard was I found the sort of block that would look good, and I chose this block right here, because this block is kind of like the concrete, but it also has the sort of ring texture around it that creates a pattern that kind of looks like each individual like section or something. And what we can do with these sections is it looks like the side of a pool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line our yard area here with this sort of area, and we can fill in this other stuff or this extra area with just some extra things, like maybe a makeshift uh, tennis court or something. I don't know, it'd be a pretty small court, but you could make it like make this the fence thing. I'll make one later, but first thing is, the reason that we left this area here is, as I said, you can have a pool. If I was using this as a balcony, instead of making a regular pool like I am, I would actually use a sort of infinity pool, you know, like the ones that like meet the edge of the sort of balcony here. Like the water would be like looking like it's about to go over, but it isn't, sort of. I don't know, just search up what infinity pool is and I guess find out that way. But anyway, here we can dig out what I'm going to do for this pool. I'm going to dig 2 deep. I think, yeah, no, 2 deep should be fine, and we'll fill this block in with something different later. But what we need to do is we need to create some sort of, like, steps down. So what I'm going to use for steps is what I always do for pools. I use prismarine, and I use slabs, and then I use dark, or the regular prismarine and sea lanterns for pool lights. So this is how it would typically look. So I'd have sort of this, and it would go down like this, all the way down to here, and we just have these sides decreasing at a slower angle than the initial pool part is right here. And then we just surround or line the bottom parts with the sea lanterns. And what we do is, actually I did need the dark prismarine, and what we do in this is we replace the bottom of the pool with the dark prismarine because it looks like pool tiles, especially underneath the water, even if it looks a bit greenish right now. Let me fill that there. And then, of course, you need your water. Water. Here we go. We have ourselves our water. We just fill in the base blocks here with water. Just spam water everywhere. Then we go up and we fill the edges in. Uh oh. And the water has filled up except for that one because I forgot to waterlog the slabs. But yes, and now we have ourselves a nice swimming pool. Ah, this doesn't work very well. Swimming pool, yeah. So now we can use this spot for something different, but now I want to finish up this area of our house. So I'm just going to use, let's just use red, blue, and orange for the channel colors. And let's just go random mismatching stuff here, just like this. This is really just random placement here. Nothing special about this. That. Boom. Nice carpet. And it looks like rich or something. I don't know. But the next thing we're going to do is to look like like a dressing room. Is we just take armor stands and just different types of armor, I guess, instead of dyed leather, because I don't want to have to take the time to do that. Kind of like that. And I would suggest leaving in... Uh-oh. Things falling apart. And I would suggest using the hat, or the helmet, as a sort of hat, and just leaving it in, even though you probably wouldn't have a helmet in an everyday situation that calls for regular clothes. So I'm just gonna get more armor stuff, helmet stuff, and then gold, I guess, because it doesn't really matter. Oh wait, gold, and we're just gonna fill this area in with netherite and gold stuff. Like that. And we have ourselves a nice sort of dressing room. So then, now that we have this area completed, we need a way to get up there, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, let's go back to our spruce stairs, and just bring this thing up, and making sure that once you reach the top here, there's some sort of platform that you can get onto. I'm actually going to make the platform out of this here, like that, and this spot here is just going to be this with a wall. So you go up the stairs like that. Yeah. And what we can do to decorate this blank empty spot is one thing that modern houses have a lot of: random paintings. I'm gonna keep doing this till I get a good one. Or, actually, I'm gonna create a random mesh of paintings here. Kinda like that. And this could be our painting wall, I guess. Yeah, that looks good. And then what we do for the other side of this room is we make this sort of a storage room, because we don't have that anywhere else. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this, basically, what I do for every sort of storage area that I do. I just place spruce trapdoors on all the sides of the chests, so it looks like shelving. And then I just flip them in a certain direction, and it kind of just looks like that. And that's kind of basic. And then the next thing I do is I then take my furnaces, usually, and I haven't actually placed the furnaces down yet, but I usually just stack them right here. Furnaces, and I guess we'll throw in a blast furnace. So like, pop, 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 like that. So basically this side isn't covered because you can't place trapdoors in the same thing, even though they don't take up a full block, so I don't see why, but yeah, you're not able to. And then we just will come into this room and finish with this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make our bedroom here have an actual bed. We're going to place it right in the center spot here. And then I'm going to do Ender crafting table. We put this Ender chest, crafting table, and then we put trapdoors over all of them so you're not falling on your ender chests. And for this separation here, I'm going to use bookshelves. And I'm just going to go and fill in the sides here. And then I'm going to take the trapdoors and cover the top and the bottom of this partition, creating a sort of, like, because the way the trapdoor looks is kind of like that overhang there. It kind of creates like that usual partition wall look to it. And what we're going to do here is, why don't we just add a small dining table? So, stairs with that, and pressure plate. Like that. And we just do that, that there, and the pressure plate on top of it, and you get a nice thingy there. And so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to make a few finishing touches. So with that, I basically mean I'm just going to take the smooth stone, go here, fill out this area, like this. Come on, fast clicking. Like this, just all the way. And I'm gonna use the smooth stone slabs here just as a way to get up. I'm gonna fill that part, and that's not what I meant. That, and then we just fill in this spot here with these guys, creating the path out as well, like this. And it creates ourselves a nice house. And I'm also going to add a small bit to the top of this house here. And what I'm gonna do here is, I think this just looks kind of cool. It's like, sort of like, you know how the air vent, it's kind of like a curved, like, sort of corner here. It kind of looks like an air vent going into here, and then we can have another one here. And what we do is we add a sort of thing that looks like pipes, like rails. And what we do, well, hold on, we're gonna need to move this back one, like that, and then we connect the rails to this, and it looks like these two pipes are like connected to each other, and they're processing air through these fans, and it's just a cool sort of decorative piece on the top. And the last thing I need to do is something I didn't do but wanted to, is place stairs on top of these side things so they sort of merge in with this wall. Oh no, I forgot to do the balcony. Well, what we can do with the balcony is we just use black stained glass. And we go like that. Ignore this part right here. But yeah, we have ourselves a nice balcony here. And you're probably wondering, how do we access this area? Well, we can create a doorway right here and just connect it to this room here, and so we have an even easier entrance to our sort of house here. And When we go up to this room, we look outside. When we want to go to sleep, we go back into this room, and we go in here. Respawn point set. We have our grass area, our pool, and our front lawn spot. And this is the after results of the completed house. And yes, I finally did an interior, but this is a modern style house. So with that, thank you all for watching, and if you want to learn more about building, then make sure to check out the other videos on my channel, because they go through a step-by-step process on how to become a better builder. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.